Sideline Guys back on the air at sidelineguys.recordernews.com. Mark Robards along with Adam Schinder. And a special edition Wednesday night, the night before the sectional championship game. Fonda Fultonville, not necessarily the one we would have picked to have made the sectional championship game, but they're going for the Class B title tomorrow night at the Glens Falls Civic Center. And a familiar foe, Waterville.
Yeah, rematch
again.
A rematch of last year's sectional championship game, a rematch of 2 Colonial Council games this year. Last year, obviously, the Braves took home their first sectional basketball title in 40 years, beating Waterville. But this year, the cast is entirely different for Fonda. Luke Nethaway, the only main contributor, returning. But Monday night, he had just an incredible game, 19 points, 11 rebounds. And the Braves, they keep winning in the playoffs. Just a terrific defensive effort, beating top-seeded Hoosick Falls 41-34. I could not have been more impressed with what I saw from that team.
But now, it's back to Waterville again. And Waterville, a four-headed monster, at least on offense. You've got the Gleasons, Jordan and Devontae. And the player that I think made the biggest difference, Griffin Kelly, 6'5", big man. In the first game in which Waterville just destroyed Fonda, 52-19. Not only did Kelly have a good effort offensively, but I think he also did a great job of shutting Luke down inside and really kind of controlled the boards as well, which was a big reason why Fonda didn't put up even 20 points in that game. The second game, the game in which Fonda was in it all the way, actually tied at the end of 3 quarters before falling 48-42. A big reason Fonda was in that game was that Kelly got into some early foul trouble, picked up 3 fouls in the first quarter alone, sat out pretty much the rest of the first half, picked up a 4th foul about midway through the 3rd quarter and didn't play much the rest of the game. That really made a big difference. So he's really the key player for Waterville in this game.
Yeah, Kelly is, and if you want to look at an impact a big guy can make, just look no further than Monday night's game against Hoosick Falls. John Hayden, the Hoosick Falls center, will get the ball, foul line extended out on the elbow, 17, 18 feet of the basket. And Luke Nethaway would not be within 8 feet of him. He just sat back, let him just stand there and wait to pass so he could play help defense everywhere else. And that's why, really, Hoosick Falls got nothing going in the paint the whole night. But what Fonda's got to do defensively, they just got to stop Waterville from scoring, not because not for defensive purposes, but for offensive purposes. Because if Waterville gets into an offensive rhythm, they're going to press off of everything.
Absolutely.
And those young guards from Fonda Fultonville have not seen that pressure in a sectional environment yet.
And both times that they saw it against Waterville earlier this season, they really did have problems with it. But to their credit, you have to look at the fact that Waterville did score an average of 50 points in the 2 games. 52 in the first win, 48 in the second win. So Fonda has shown that they can hold down that offense.
No, they can play defense. I'm going to be interested to see the defensive matchups they go for. Mike Downing has kind of been the guy going up against the other team's best wing player. You'd assume he draws Jordan Gleason in this game.
You would think so, yeah.
The big question is who's going to be the guy on Devontae Gleason, because the defensive job that Tyler Hall did on Devontae Gleason in last year's championship game was the absolute key to that game. Hall held him to 2 of 20 shooting.
And I think it's going to have to be a team effort. I don't think you can put any one player on him for the entire game. I think you're going to have to rotate a little bit of everybody, a little bit of Charles Parslow, a little bit of Jarrett Ladd, maybe a little bit of Dan Sheehan as well. Kind of just give them different looks. I think you're not going to hold this kid totally in check. I don't think you're going to get another 2-point outing out of him. But I think if you can at least make it reasonable and keep him within maybe 12, 15 points.
Yeah, and I think you're probably going to have to see a little bit of Will Turner in this game as well. Didn't play at all against Hoosick Falls, mainly because Hoosick Falls went with a smaller lineup. Really only played 6 players the entire game. You're going to have to see him in there to guard that second big guy, because Fonda doesn't have a lot of other size outside of him and Luke Nethaway.
Yep.
But it's an interesting matchup just because we've seen through a number of games in these playoffs how hard it is for someone to beat a team 3 times. Waterville's done it twice, and as I just a few minutes ago got back from Fonda and speaking to Eric Wilson, he knows that Waterville team is still going to be motivated from last year.
Absolutely.
They want this one more than anything else. But Fonda's gotten there. They've defied a lot of expectations, and Eric Wilson's going to have this team ready.
Game time Thursday night, 6 p.m. at the Civic Center. If they win, if Fonda is fortunate enough to win, the BWB title game will be played on Saturday back at the Civic Center as well.
Yeah, and they will play, should they advance, they play the winner of Schuylerville and Catskill. And I saw the Cats Monday night, right after Fonda Fultonville knocked off Hoosick Falls, the Cats outlasted Broad Alban Perth 58-57 in overtime, and it was really just a tale of pace.
Oh.
Catskill plays at they play a game without any breaks whatsoever. Everything is a fast break. Their offense, as Tucker Gifford so eloquently put it, is shoot it and go get it. Someone puts up a runner, 4 guys crash the boards, and they rely on the fact that they're quick enough to get back on defense. And yet BP still, despite the fact that their shooters never really got it going, stuck around. Neither team shot the ball well at all. But BP really could have won this game. It was a terrific effort on their part, but I think in the end, just their relentless speed and pressure that Catskill put on them, just they could never get over that hump once the game got to overtime.
And meanwhile, last night up at the Civic Center, I was up there as Fort Plain season came to a, well, I don't want to call it a bitter end, but it was an end that they were not too happy with. Lake George walking away with a relatively easy win. The tale of the tape in this game, though, told by the number of fouls. Fort Plain whistled for 19 fouls on the night. Lake George whistled for just 7. Lake George, 26 free throws on the night. Fort Plain, just 6. You know, I understand that there can be a disparity in fouls with the way the game is played, but both of these teams were playing very tight, very physical defense. And I was joking here in the newsroom a little while earlier that after the beating that the Fort Plain guards took last night as they were trying to handle the ball, they both probably have bruises running from about wrist to elbow. The big men, they were hassled inside as well, and it really hurt them foul trouble as well. You had 2 Fonda players with 4 fouls, 1 player fouling out, our Fort Plain players, I'm sorry. It just really made a big difference, not only in the disparity in the foul shots as well, but in the way that they were forced to play because of the referees' whistles. Lake George was able to be much more aggressive because they knew they were going to get away with a lot more. Fort Plain had to be much more timid, especially after losing some of their big guys to fouls during the game. It really upset the style of play for Fort Plain and kept them from playing their best game. Unfortunately, you know, the end comes to what had been a marvelous season and perhaps an end to Craig Phillips' career as basketball coach at Fort Plain. But the kids walk out with their heads held high. They did put in a great effort against a very tough team.
Yeah, and Lake George, you had to know would be motivated coming into that game because they spent most of the season as the number 1 team in Class C in New York State, and they were seated behind Fort Plain because of 1 loss to Argyle at the end of the regular season when Fort Plain surged. Plus, as you heard from one of the Lake George players last night, there was a little bit of bulletin board material provided in this spot.
Alex Laddick, who led Lake George with 26 points last night, telling us right at the tip-off of his interview with all of the writers after the game that the team got great motivation from 2 bloggers who said that Lake George wouldn't be able to handle Fort Plain's pressure. Well, to all of our viewers up in Lake George, we thank you very much for watching, and we appreciate you giving us some credit for the victory. As to the people in Fort Plain, we're sorry. We didn't mean to actually motivate a team to beat you guys.
Yeah, and one quick note before we head out, just another sports note. Lucas Santiago from Amsterdam this weekend will be down on Long Island swimming the 100-yard freestyle in the state championships. We'll have everything from Lucas. We'll have his reports in the paper through the weekend. So just stick around. We've got plenty of basketball, and right after that, we head into the spring sports in just a few weeks.
Practice starts on Monday.
So for Mark, I'm Adam. We'll see you next time at SidelineGuys.recordernews.com.